All right, let's get one thing straight. You've been told a story about PC gaming, a nice, clean fairy tale with a hero in a shiny corporate logo. Well, today, we're not just questioning that story, we are putting it on trial. And that brings us to the big question, doesn't it? We've been told that Microsoft swooped in and saved PC gaming from itself. But what if that's not what happened? What if the so-called savior was actually the villain of the whole story? Yeah, you know the one. It's been repeated for so long in magazines and on the internet that it's basically become gospel, the official sanitized version of history. And here it is. This might be one of the greatest corporate PR spin jobs of all time. The idea that DirectX was this benevolent gift to developers, a shining light to bring order to the chaos. It's a great story. It's also a complete lie. The real story? Well, it's a lot darker. It's about crushing a better technology, cornering a market, and locking an entire industry into a single operating system. This was never about making things easier. It was about building a cage. So, like any good crime story, we have to start with the motive. Why? Why did Microsoft feel the need to do all this? What were they so afraid of? Okay, so picture the early 90s. Real gaming, the hardcore stuff. That all happened in DOS. It was the Wild West, sure, but it was fast. Man, was it fast. Developers could talk directly to the hardware and squeeze out every last drop of performance. And Windows? Windows was a joke. It was a slow, clunky, walled garden that no serious game developer wanted to touch. It was for spreadsheets, not for fragging your friends. And this was a massive, massive problem for Microsoft. Their whole grand plan was to make Windows the center of the entire universe. But gaming, the most exciting part of the industry, was just ignoring them. They were losing the fight for the desktop, and they knew it. So what does a cornered giant do? Faced with a product that developers hated, they didn't try to make a better product. No, they chose to eliminate the competition. They built a weapon, and they aimed it at something far, far better. And here is our victim, OpenGL. It was elegant, it was powerful, and most importantly, it was platform independent. An open standard that developers actually love to use. For Microsoft, that made it public enemy number one. It was a threat to their entire vision of a Windows-dominated world. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This is from John Carmack, the guy who created Doom and Quake, a literal legend. He called OpenGL a work of art. While he's saying that, other developers were practically crying trying to deal with the ugly, buggy mess that was the first version of Direct 3D. And this, right here, this is the absolute key. This is why Microsoft had to kill it. If OpenGL won, your operating system wouldn't matter for gaming anymore. A developer could write a game once, and it would just work on a Mac, on Linux, on Windows, anywhere. The chains tying gaming to Microsoft's OS would be broken before they were even fully locked. They couldn't compete on merit, so they just didn't. They used their monopoly as a weapon. The message was simple. Sure, you can use that beautiful open standard. Or you can use our clunky piece of junk and actually sell your game to the 90% of the market that runs Windows. It wasn't a choice, it was a threat. So now the developers are trapped. The industry is locked in. What's next? Well, now you turn that monopoly into a money printing machine. And that's exactly what they did. This is the racket. Just look at this. It was relentless. Every single year, a new version of DirectX would drop. And every time, it came with some new arbitrary hardware feature that you suddenly had to have. That super expensive graphics card you bought last Christmas? Sorry, it's a paperweight now. Time to open your wallet again. And let's be crystal clear about this. This wasn't because of some incredible technological leap forward. It was a business strategy, pure and simple. It was planned obsolescence. They would invent a new requirement, bake it into the new DirectX, and boom. Millions of perfectly good GPUs were suddenly obsolete, all to keep you buying new stuff. Now, if you think I'm just being cynical, if you think this is some kind of conspiracy theory, well, here's the smoking gun. This is the moment they stopped even trying to hide it. This was just blatant. DirectX 10 was locked by software to Windows Vista, an operating system pretty much nobody wanted. So your amazing gaming PC running Windows XP with a brand new card? Too bad. It couldn't run the new games. A simple software switch made millions of dollars of hardware worthless, all to force an OS upgrade down our throats. The damage here goes way beyond our bank accounts, though. The real crime is what we lost. The alternate future for PC gaming that was completely stolen from us. Just stop and think about it for a second. Seriously, what would the world of PC gaming look like today if an open, free standard had won, instead of a proprietary corporate lock? In that lost future, the idea of a gaming PC just means a PC. It's not tied to any one company. Linux could have been a top-tier gaming OS decades ago. You know what Valve is doing right now with Proton and the Steam Deck, trying to break games out of the Windows jail? That wouldn't be some heroic effort. That would have just been normal. So you see, the victim here wasn't just a piece of software. It was the potential for the entire ecosystem to be free, to be diverse, to be open. Instead, Microsoft turned PC gaming into just another feature of Windows. So, after laying out the motive, the weapon, the racket, and the fallout, it's time to deliver the verdict. How should history remember DirectX? Forget the technical definition you'll find on Wikipedia. This is the real one. DirectX was never just an API. It was a tool of control. It was a cage to trap an entire industry and a scheme to make us buy new hardware over and over again. Yeah, the graphics today are incredible, but they were all built on a foundation of anti-competitive, monopolistic behavior. So the next time you hear that old fairy tale, remember the truth. It was never about giving us direct access to anything. It was about putting the whole industry under direct lock.